Live from WRAL News headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
Now at 9 on Fox 50, there's a big mess to clean up after fire breaks out at an auto parts warehouse overnight. What employees say was inside when that fire started.
And it's foggy this morning. A dense fog advisory in effect for our region. Coming up, I'm going to show you how soon the fog will clear and give way to warm temperatures.
It'll be a nice weekend to go outside and raise money for a good cause. A guest will share how simple footsteps can help in the fight to end Alzheimer's. We will have that coming up. So much to tell you about this morning on your Tuesday. Thanks for joining us. I'm Michelle McConaughey.
And I'm Ken Smith, and you were waking up to a really foggy
Really
morning.
foggy, yeah.
Let's get right back to meteorologist Peter Sherwood to figure out when this will all burn off.
We are going to start to see some improvements as we head into the second half of the morning, into the afternoon. I want to show you here, all of us under the dense fog advisory where visibility is down to a quarter of a mile in a few spots or even lower. But take a look at this. This is a live look at Raleigh. We have temperatures in the 50s, and it's really hard to pick out from this camera that we are actually looking at Raleigh. We will see the fog burn off, especially across our eastern counties heading into 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. By lunchtime, we should see all of it gone with more sunshine moving in. So get ready for it. Just hang on. We are seeing those foggy conditions, but some improvements are on the way for this afternoon. We have 46 degrees in Roxborough, 53 in Raleigh and Durham, 54 in Clinton right now. And this afternoon, the sunshine's going to move through and we will see our temperatures in the 70s. Likely to get to 71 by 2, 76 for the high with evening temperatures in the 60s. Now I am tracking a next cold front that's going to move in. It's going to bring rain coming up. I'm going to show you hour by hour where the system is right now and how soon we can see some showers.
All right, thank you, Peta. This morning, a car dealership has some cleaning up to do after a fire. Crews were at an auto parts warehouse in Cary for 5 hours until about 2 o'clock this morning. Michael Grace is in the WRAL Breaking News Tracker with a look at the damage.
That fire broke out of the warehouse just up that hill right behind me around 9:15. Take a look at this video from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker. You can see crews trying their best to ventilate the building inside with all that smoke, with those fans that they have there. And this all happened on Gregson Drive. Officials say the building's sprinkler system was able to contain the flames. Luckily, no one was inside at the time of the fire, and crews were able to wrap up just after 2 a.m. I'll keep you updated into the investigation into what caused the fire. In Cary, Michael Grace, WRAL News.
Well, today, a Fayetteville woman plans to announce a federal lawsuit against police officers who she says assaulted her. 22-year-old Jelana Dunlap says she broke no laws but was forced out of her car and handcuffed by police because she wouldn't give them her ID. Dunlap says she was taking pictures in a parking lot for her employer when she was questioned by police. Now, this happened about a half mile from a scene where a potentially violent suspect ran from police. The Fayetteville police chief released a statement saying she was pushing for the release of body cam video. Dunlop was not charged.
Another community is rocked by a deadly school shooting. This morning, a St. Louis school is shut down after a teacher and a student were killed. Dozens of people showed up to this vigil last night to pay their respects to the teacher and that 16-year-old girl that was killed in that shooting. At least 7 other people were also hurt. Police say the shooter was a recent graduate. He was killed in a shootout with officers. Now, investigators are trying to figure out how he got into the building. There's still no word on a motive for that shooting.
Well, improving low-performing schools is the goal for Johnson County School Board members today. The board is holding a special meeting tonight, just one day after the nation's report card showed learning loss in our state is trending in the wrong direction. Schools under the spotlight tonight include West Smithfield Elementary, West Clayton Elementary, JC Virtual Academy, Smithfield Selma High, and South Smithfield Elementary.
The town of Spring Lake is resubmitting its contract to hire Justine Jones as town manager. Earlier this month, State Treasurer Dale Falwell announced that he would not fund the hiring of Jones. The town of Spring Lake is financed by the state's local government commission. The town's board of aldermen contends the position is already funded and is calling for a review of whether the Treasury has the authority to block the hiring. The town chose to hire Jones, who had her contract terminated by the town of Kenly back in August. Town leaders say they're waiting for the treasurer to schedule a meeting with them to discuss the situation.
And within the last 30 minutes, a Russian court rejecting WNBA star Brittany Griner's appeal over her jail term. The court upheld her 9-year sentence on drug charges. The 32-year-old has been in a detention center since she was arrested back in February at Moscow's airport. She pleaded guilty back in July for having cannabis oil in her luggage. Griner is expected to be moved to a penal colony. The U.S. says Griner is being wrongfully detained.
Adidas has announced it's cutting ties with Kanye West, who now goes by the name Ye. People are outraged after he made several anti-Semitic comments during a podcast earlier this month. This morning, Adidas announced they're dropping the rapper after a long-standing partnership. Talent agency CAA, Creative Artists Agency, also dropped West.
Well, did you know how much plastic is actually recycled? You may be shocked. Coming up, a look at the pros and cons of a possible solution to help less plastic wind up in landfills. And get ready to lace up your shoes and walk for a good cause. We'll share how you can help in the fight to end Alzheimer's. All coming up. Let's welcome back meteorologist Peter Sherwood.
We are looking live at the legislative building right now, and it is foggy out the door. Coming up, I'm going to show you where the visibility is the thickest and how soon we can see showers move in.
Welcome back. Walk to End Alzheimer's is raising awareness and money to fight against the neurological disease. WRAL is a proud media partner of the event coming up in Fayetteville this weekend. Lisa Roberts, Executive Director of the Alzheimer's Association of Eastern North Carolina Chapter, is here to tell us all about this weekend's event and how you can show solidarity. Lisa, great to have you on the program this morning. First off, tell us why this event is so personal for you.
Thank you, Ken. It's a pleasure to be here this morning. I, unfortunately, along with thousands, millions of families, have been impacted by Alzheimer's. I lost my mom to an Alzheimer's-related disorder, and it devastated our family. Personally, we wanted to do something to volunteer and raise money and funds for research. So we volunteered in my parents' hometown in Sanford, North Carolina, and we were the #1 team that year.
Yay!
Walked. So it's very personal as well as professional.
Well, the Cumberland County community has raised, let's say, about $100,000 so far. Explain the mission behind the fundraiser and what's happening this weekend.
Sure. The mission behind the overall Alzheimer's Association is that we envision a world without Alzheimer's. So that is our vision, and we walk to end Alzheimer's across North Carolina. We have 17 walks. This weekend, we are so excited that we'll be in beautiful Fayetteville at the Segra Stadium. And the walk check-in starts at 9 o'clock. The ceremony and the walk begins at 10. So this is the nation's largest fundraiser for the awareness and raising funds for Alzheimer's care support, free programs, and so forth. So we're very excited to be in Fayetteville this weekend.
Yeah, let's talk about the numbers a little bit. More than 180,000 people in North Carolina are living with Alzheimer's. How is the Alzheimer's Association providing support for so many families needing help?
Well, Alzheimer's doesn't quit. It doesn't have a timetable. So one of our greatest resources is we have a 24-hour helpline that families, friends, professional caregivers, personal caregivers, anyone can call day or night, including holidays, so that we can provide information and referral, provide support with our licensed clinical colleagues who are trained to handle all of the complexities that come with someone whose family who has been impacted by Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
That's one of the ways.
Yeah, because this is so personal for you, Lisa, any advice to families who might be sitting there trying to cope with a family member battling this neurological disease?
Thank you for that, Ken. I would say to please contact the Alzheimer's Association. There are so many wonderful organizations that are geared towards caregivers, and we serve both the caregivers and the person with the disease, and basically anyone who has been impacted. So our greatest outreach is through our 1-800 number, which is 1-800-272-3900, and that gets you connected to people that understand exactly what they're going through.
And really quickly, where can people go to register for the race and learn more about the Alzheimer's Association?
Well, you can come out Fayetteville on Saturday, but if you pre-register, you can go to alz.org/walk, and you can find the walk closest to you. We have 17 walks in North Carolina. Fayetteville is one of the ones that will occur this weekend, Saturday, at Segra Stadium.
Yeah. Hey, Lisa Roberts, thanks so much for your time and your perspective this morning. We appreciate it.
So thank you so much for having us. Thank you.
All right, the Walk to End Alzheimer's Fayetteville event happening this Saturday, October 29th at Segra Stadium. Check-in starts at 9 o'clock in the morning. The opening ceremonies is at 10. Our own Gilbert Bays, our Fayetteville reporter, Gilbert Bays, is the MC for that event.
Great. Thanks, Ken. Governor Cooper plans to announce executive action today related to the state's clean energy future. The governor is expected to speak at an event at ABB's headquarters in Cary at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Earlier this year, the governor signed an executive order establishing a goal of 50% reduction of greenhouse gas emissions here in North Carolina by the year 2030 and net zero emissions by 2050. And recycling can really help our planet, but only if the right products actually get recycled. Jackie Ibanez has the shocking numbers highlighting the plastic catastrophe and a look at a possible solution.
In the U.S. alone, more than 90% of plastic waste is never recycled, according to data collected by the Environmental Protection Agency. Besides being burned or winding up in the environment, much of it is deposited in landfills, where it takes plastic bottles, for example, roughly 450 years to decompose.
It's going to take a multi-generational solution to fix.
Now, some of the companies making up the plastic industry are advocating for more chemical recycling facilities to combat the crisis. The process involves using heat or chemicals to convert plastic waste into a liquid. The substance is then turned into recycled pellets to make new plastic products.
We bring in typically about 100,000 pounds per day of used plastic, and that converts into about 10,000 gallons of hydrocarbon liquid that can go back into making new plastics.
But critics worry chemical recycling won't reduce the amount of plastic being produced and used. In fact, a United Nations report finds global plastic production is expected to more than quadruple by 2050. Activists are also concerned about the emissions chemical recycling plants can produce and the potential harm they pose for surrounding communities.
What kind of value are we setting up for ourselves and for our community?
So important to recycle. That was Jackie Ibanez reporting. 7 small chemical recycling plants are currently operating in the U.S. Eastman. ExxonMobil, Nexus Circular, and other companies have announced plans to build larger scale facilities in the near future.
Well, many of you looking out your window this morning probably noticed a dense fog out there, and it's been going on all morning long. Let's get right over to meteorologist Peter Sherwood in the WRAL Weather Center with when all this heavy fog is going to burn off.
Well, the dense fog advisory goes until 10 o'clock this morning. So we're expecting some improvements as we head into the next 2 hours. We are going to continue to watch visibility, though, because some areas still under a mile and a half. Naya Harden has been tracking conditions all morning long. Naya, can you tell me where you are right now and explain some of the things that you've been seeing?
Yeah, Peter. So right now we're on 70 West in Garner here, and Garner has really been looking the same in the last few hours. We've just noticed that in the distance there, you can see all of that heavy fog. But thankfully, as you start to drive through it, it really starts to break apart, and you can see pretty clearly. We haven't had any troubles with visibility at all as far as driving. It's really just hard to tell what's so far up ahead. We also noticed, too, that in Clayton, it was a little worse there. We know Elizabeth Gardner earlier was talking about how it was affecting the east a little bit more. But we did drive through a little bit on 70 to head east, and we did see it look like things were clearing up a little bit more over there. So some good news there, Peter.
Naya, you know, that makes sense because we are seeing some improvements here on the visibility map. As you can see right here, we check out Rocky Mount, visibility now at 1/2 mile, 1 mile visibility in Goldsboro, and still in the triangle, we're seeing that number under 1/4 mile. So the idea here is still, if you have to head out the door, you still want to slow it down and take it easy. So we have high pressure in place that is going to keep us mostly dry today. We do anticipate sunshine to move in for the afternoon once all the fog lifts out. But I'm tracking this area of low pressure and trailing cold front that's moving across Louisiana and Mississippi right now. This system is going to move into our area by the time we head into Wednesday afternoon. So as we take Futurecasts out, you can see high pressure allowing us to see sunshine this afternoon. I think it's going to be a fantastic day with highs in the 70s. But watch this area of low pressure and cold front. It's going to move into the North Carolina mountains by tomorrow morning, and we have the chance of seeing some showers around tomorrow afternoon. Notice it's not going to be a lot of rain with this front that's going to move through. You're really going to notice the cloud cover that will develop for tomorrow, and ahead of it, the warm temperatures that will surge in out of the south. We anticipate gradual clearing by tomorrow evening, and it is going to be fairly dry as we head into the end of the week, leading into the weekend. If you have any plans outdoors, our rain chances will be low leading into Sunday. But Monday, Halloween, I know all eyes on the forecast, right? Especially those trick-or-treaters. We're going to watch this area of low pressure that will move across Texas and then head towards the north and east. We will see clouds develop by Monday morning. We could see a few showers around the region by Monday afternoon. And if this boundary and low pressure system slows down a little bit, we can see those showers move in a little bit later. So trick-or-treaters, keep your eyes on the forecast. Keep checking back with us as things could change. This is a live look across Raleigh this morning. Cannot pick out the skyline there because of the fog, but I do anticipate some improvements by 10 and 11 o'clock. The fog clearing out by lunchtime. We will head to 76 degrees if you want to go for a walk today, and evening temperatures will be in the 60s. We have a big warm up on the way. Coming up, we're going to break down the numbers as we're expected to head into the upper 70s on Wednesday, down into the 60s by the time we head into the weekend. We're going to take a look at the numbers a little bit closer in the next half hour.
Peter, thanks. Well, people who love their Mac computers but can't afford an upgrade, coming up, some options just for you.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your #1 source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
Health officials are sounding the alarm about yet another respiratory virus on the rise here in the Triangle. Just ahead, I'll explain some of the cases we're seeing here locally and what doctors say you should do to protect you and your family.
I'm tracking areas of dense fog this morning. Coming up, I'll show you where the fog is the thickest.
Also, today is your day, and you're encouraged to eat all the favorite greasy foods. You heard me right, greasy foods. Yeah,
are you sure?
Fries, wings, you name it.
Oh, man.
We'll tell you why in just a minute. What's your guilty pleasure, greasy food?
Greasy food.
Mine are hot wings.
Yeah, I was going to say hot wings and
Yeah.
donuts. I mean, we just saw Krispy Kreme donuts. So
100%.
hello, yes, let's have both today. Why not?
So glad you're here with us this morning at 9:30. I'm Ken Smith.
And I'm Michelle McConaughey. So maybe you want to take your greasy food outside later. Still dealing with some fog right now. We've been dealing with it all morning long. Peta Sherwood is here. Peta, it is starting to clear up a little bit.
It is, and that's good news because I know some of you guys driving into work this morning, you had to deal with some of that fog. And if you're heading out the door right now, we are going to continue to see improvements. This dense fog advisory that is in effect for our entire viewing area goes until 10 o'clock this morning. We're still seeing visibility down to 1/4 mile or less in a few spots, like in Raleigh. This is a live look at Dix Park. You can see some folks out there this morning, but that fog is really thick, and we are are seeing that visibility under a quarter of a mile in Raleigh and Durham, but improving across some spots like Goldsboro, Rocky Mount, Roxborough, as well as Southern Pines. You guys aren't seeing the thickest fog. We're really seeing it now across the center portion of our viewing area. But improvements are on the way as we anticipate the fog to gradually clear out. Even after 10 o'clock, we could still see some of that lingering fog, but by lunchtime, I think we should be good to go. 53, the current temperature in the Triangle right now. This afternoon, sunshine's going to move in. We'll head to 67 around 1 and then 76 for the afternoon high. We have even warmer temperatures building in this week. Coming up, I'm going to show you how warm the numbers will get as we head into tomorrow.
Renee Chu here in the WRAL Live Center. We are learning more about the two people who were killed in the St. Louis school shooting. This is a picture of 61-year-old Jean Kuska. She was a physical education teacher, and she died trying to protect her students when that gunman stormed Central Visual and Performing Arts High School. And here's a picture of Alex Bell, 15 years old, just a sophomore. One of 9 children. She loved to dance. She was on the dance team at school. She would have turned 16 in 2 weeks. Police say the gunman was 19 years old. He recently graduated from the school. He was killed in a shootout with police.
Many thanks for that update. Well, doctors say we're prepared for a bad flu season. They were not ready, though, for a multitude of viruses hitting children all at once. WRAL's Laura Levine at Wake Med in Raleigh with the growing concerns about a triple threat of viruses.
Doctors are concerned that getting hit by a triple threat would fill up bed capacity and strain hospital resources in the weeks to come. So let's take a look at the numbers. Here at Wake Med, 246 patients have reported battling the flu. That's up from 130 cases just 2 weeks ago. And as far as RSV cases here, 183 people are dealing with that. Now, the respiratory virus is making young children, especially babies, extremely sick, and cases in North Carolina are on the rise. Places like daycares and schools are areas of concern. Doctors at UNC Health report having 200 RSV cases, and as of last week, Duke hospitals had 225. People with RSV may show cold-like symptoms, so fever, cough, fatigue, and headache. Health officials say this, unfortunately, is just the beginning of an active season of viruses on the move.
Young children, you have to be careful for seizures due to high fever, turning blue from not enough oxygen, lethargy, and not eating well.
There are currently no vaccines for RSV, so doctors say the best protection is staying up to date on your flu shots and those COVID-19 vaccines. They also mentioned we should continue to practice some of those methods that we have had in the past during the pandemic, such as hand washing, social distancing, and masking. Laura Levine, WRAL News, Raleigh.
In about 30 minutes, the state treasurer will release a new report on the money hospitals stand to make from Medicare. Treasurer Falwell accuses health systems of profiting off the program, including during the pandemic. At 10 o'clock this morning, just about 25 minutes from now, he'll call for care providers to lower their prices for all patients.
The midterm elections are 2 weeks from today. The pivotal race for U.S. Senate seat in North Carolina is drawing big names from out of state for pair rallies today. Senator Ted Cruz of Texas will be in Selma today to show his support for Republican candidate Ted Budd. Cruz's visit is part of the Take Back America bus tour. North Carolina congressional candidate Bo Hines will also be part of that event. It gets underway at noon at the Farm at 42 on Lynch Road.
And there are new developments after a report linked chemical hair relaxers to an increased risk of cancer in African-American women. Charlie Wachikowski has more on a lawsuit against the cosmetic company L'Oreal.
I'm 28 years old and I was just diagnosed with uterine cancer.
Jenny Mitchell had been using chemical hair relaxers and straighteners for more than 2 decades by the time of her diagnosis. Now, after a full hysterectomy, she is experiencing menopause.
I'm still feeling that void of not being able to bear my own child.
Now Mitchell is filing suit against L'Oreal, one of a number of companies that make chemical hair straighteners and relaxers typically marketed to African-American women.
I don't think it's an exaggeration. 95% of all black women use these chemical relaxers. Just a survey. How many of you have ever used a chemical relaxer? Show of hands.
Last week, a study released by the National Institutes of Health found that women who use chemical hair straighteners face a higher risk of developing uterine cancer.
It makes me nervous because I am a person that use, straightening products and chemicals as well.
Trish Crowder is a Chicago area stylist who's been working with straighteners for almost 30 years.
I have experienced, some of my clients with, some issues going on.
In addition to the lawsuit, which was filed here in Chicago, Crump is calling on the U.S. government to pull all hair straightening products off the shelves. Trish Crowder says the study and the lawsuit are changing the way she thinks about using straightening products.
Just to stay away from it. Just go natural, wear your own hair. It's something that I'm going to do, and I'm definitely going to just be a natural stylist.
That was Charlie Wojciechowski reporting. Well, Unilever is recalling some dry shampoos due to the potential presence of benzene. Among the products being recalled are some lots of Dove, Nexus, and Suave shampoos. And shampoos selling under the Rockaholic and Bedhead names are also affected. Benzene is a chemical that can cause cancer. Unilever says there have been no reports of any health consequences related to the shampoos.
In money matters, Tesla is slashing prices in China, and HBO's House of Dragon soars with its season finale. Let's get right to Maribel Aber at the NASDAQ market site in New York with this morning's business headlines and a look at the opening numbers. Good morning, Maribel.
Hey, good morning, Ken. Another strong day for stocks yesterday. Today, it's a different story, at least in the early going, as investors weigh corporate earnings reports. Right now, in the early going, the Dow's down about 45 points, the S&P up 8, NASDAQ up 65 points. Tesla is cutting prices on the electric vehicles it sells in China. Prices on some models were dropped by more than 9%. Now, Tesla's popular Model Y and 3 had prices cut by as much as 9.4%. The move comes as Tesla sees growing competition in China from local automakers. And the country represents the world's biggest electric vehicle market. House of the Dragon's finale Sunday night was a ratings hit. The Game of Thrones spinoff pulled in 9.3 million viewers for the final episode of its first season. It was the biggest finale for an HBO series since Game of Thrones concluded in May of 2019. Now, Sunday's numbers were even more impressive given competition from viewers from, we had that NFL game, right? And, of course, baseball's playoffs. House of the Dragon will be back for a second season on HBO. Ken, you know what? We intentionally stopped watching just so we could binge the episodes. I cannot wait to get started.
Listen, I'm only on episode 4, so I don't want any spoilers. I'm not going to go on social media.
We're the same.
Exactly. We're right there. Hey, Maribel Aber, always great to see you.
All right, the Carolina Hurricanes, they're celebrating a big win this morning. We'll take a look at how they handled the Vancouver Canucks in their 7th straight loss just ahead. The new director of the Federal Bureau of Prisons is promising reform. Jackie Ibanez explains the new push to address inmate safety and employment issues.
In the wake of escalating criticism against the U.S. federal prison system, highlighting ongoing issues of sexual assault, suicides, and homicides, Colette Peters, the new Federal Bureau of Prisons director, says enough is enough.
We cannot have any surprises. We have to know what is happening inside our agency so we can help.
Peters vowing Monday to reform the nation's dilapidated federal prisons, which hold nearly 160,000 inmates and are run by more than 30,000 staff. The change starts by enforcing a zero-tolerance policy for employees who abuse power.
Just holding people accountable when we find out that they have falsified documentation or have engaged in not doing their job.
Making prisons safer also involves increased monitoring of conflicts between inmates, as well as reviewing where inmates are housed and with whom they share a cell.
Many of the suicides occur in single cells. Many of them occur in restrictive housing. So ensuring that there's programming and treatment and access to psychology services while in restrictive housing, ensuring that people are not single-celled is incredibly important.
Major overhauls are also being made across women's prisons to address sexual assaults.
We're trying to inject the agency with trauma-informed care, gender-responsive care, and really taking all of these allegations seriously.
That was Jackie Ibanez reporting. Peters says it's critical to bolster employment at prisons with staff who are dedicated to reforming inmates so they can successfully rejoin society after their sentences.
Nearly 200 state employees will be honored with the Governor's Awards for Excellence today, and I'm looking forward to being the MC for that ceremony. In total, 184 people from 8 state agencies and 3 UNC system institutions will be recognized. The Governor's Award for Excellence is the highest honor a state employee can get for dedicated service. The ceremony is happening at Meredith College at 2 o'clock this afternoon. In today's Forever Family segment, we're taking you behind the scenes to meet Hampton and Brody. They've been helping us tape our segment. We first talked to the pair when they started their foster care journey. Now they're sharing how it all changed their lives forever.
My parents opened up our home as a foster home when we were both really young.
You can share your family with anybody. You can give somebody else a family.
You know, I was a younger kid, so I just expected them to fit in our home. But then I came to realize, you know, it takes time.
It's been fun and hard sometimes.
They've struggled, they've had a rough background, and you have to teach them and show them how your house works. But when you're teaching it, it's easier to learn it.
I'm also hearing you say that you really formed a bond, you know, with these kids that come into your home.
You definitely create a lot of friendships and relationships.
What advice would you give to people out there watching you right now who are thinking about maybe this is what they want to do?
So the decision was made initially for us to pursue this journey, but if I had to do it again, I would, because it's made me who I am. It's given me perspective that I never would have had otherwise. I've heard of families who don't want to foster because they don't want their kids to get hurt. What I would say to that is that bringing someone else into your home, it could be an opportunity for teaching. To do that and to see the healing that it's brought about in my siblings' lives and in just the lives of the kids that were in our home, even if they didn't stay, even if they left and went somewhere else, but just knowing that we had made an impact in their lives was all worth it.
Would you say then it helped you grow?
I say if there's one thing it's taught me is a new perspective on grace. It's one thing to hear about people who are struggling, and it's another thing to live with people who are struggling. It's not their fault. It's not part of who they are. It's just where they've been and what has been done to them.
Yeah.
And it's just shown me, even in just people that I see, people that I interact with, there's always more than what meets the eye.
Very insightful. Both Hampton and Brody are looking to pursue careers where they can continue to help families stay strong and healthy. Now, to learn more about fostering and adoption, contact Forever Family Partnership in partnership with Seven Homes Family Foster Care at that toll-free number on your screen, or go to WRAL.com for more information.
Meteorologist Peta Sherwood here with a look at our weather. We saw some intense fog this morning, Peta. Some areas still seeing it, but we are starting to clear up.
We are, and the dense fog advisory goes until 10 o'clock this morning, but you can still see some lingering low visibility around the area. Regardless of the dense fog around, you still want to take it easy out the door. This is a live, or I should say, this is a photo taken from Marcus P. in Durham. You can see the fog out there over the water. It's just one of those mornings where you do want to slow down and take it easy, especially in the Triangle, where we're still seeing visibility around 1/10 of a mile. You can see about 2/10 of a mile across Fayetteville, not too bad. In Rocky Mount right now in Goldsboro, visibility improving. We have visibility now at 1 mile in Goldsboro. So we are going to see the clouds gradually clear out for this morning, and temperatures that are in the 50s to start will likely see those highs in the 70s. So let's go ahead and talk about the warmth, because we have a nice flow moving in out of the south for the state of North Carolina ahead of a nice dip in the jet stream off towards the west. We are tracking warmer temperatures to persist for today and tomorrow before our next cold front moves in. So 76 will be the high in Raleigh today, 75 in Durham, getting to 77 degrees in Clinton for this afternoon. Because we are seeing the fog out there this morning, I'm not anticipating some highs in the 80s across the Sand Hills Hills today, but tomorrow we have a chance of seeing that. Likely to make it to 82 degrees in Fayetteville tomorrow, 82 in Clinton, while the Triangle looking at highs in the mid to upper 70s. Once we head into Thursday, behind the cold front that is going to move through, you'll notice temperatures falling off a little bit, getting to 78 degrees in Fayetteville and 73 degrees in Raleigh and Durham for Thursday. Looking ahead into Halloween weekend, I know you guys have all those plans to be outside and enjoying the holiday. We will see temperatures in the upper 60s on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, likely to stay mostly dry for this weekend. But I am tracking rain that's going to move in on Monday. As of now, looking at a small chance, especially around the time you guys might want to go trick-or-treating, with a high temperature of 75 degrees. Keep checking back to the forecast. As we continue to monitor the tropics, there's one area of low pressure just near Bermuda with a 60% chance of development within the next 2 days. We could potentially see a tropical depression form today with showers and thunderstorms developing around the low. That will continue to move towards the north into cooler waters and then eventually weaken. We have another area just towards the south near Puerto Rico with a 30% chance of development within the next 5 days. So as we check out our 7-day forecast, we have a chance for rain tomorrow with highs in the upper 70s, likely to be slightly cooler leading into the weekend, but overall those temperatures a little bit near normal for this time of the year in the upper 60s.
Peter, thanks. Well, an 8-year-old boy in Colorado is living up to his middle name.
Yeah, he sure is. We'll show you how he's reaching for the stars, or should we say the top of El Capitan at Yosemite National Park. The Carolina Hurricanes are headed back to Raleigh with another win under their belt. The Canes beat the winless Vancouver Canucks in a game that ended well after 1 o'clock in the morning. This score from Sebastian Aho put the Canes up 2-1 in the third period. They would go on to win it 3-2. Next game is Friday at PNC when the Canes take on the New York Islanders.
Well, an 8-year-old boy from Colorado is living up to his middle name. Get this, his name is Sam Adventure Baker. He was born in a family of climbers. He now hopes to be the youngest person to climb the summit at El Capitan in California. That summit is Yosemite National Park's iconic vertical rock formation. Sam set out with his dad and 2 other expert climbers to make the trek yesterday and should finish this week.
I'm most excited to climb with Daddy.
It's going to be basically 4 days of hanging from your fingers or hanging from your anchors. It's just a big adventure, a big family adventure.
I'd say, according to the park's website, the summit is 2.5 times as tall as the Empire State Building. Besides climbing with his dad, Sam says he's most excited about eating lasagna in a hammock hanging thousands of feet in the air.
Jeff was saying, can we just eat the lasagna on the ground?
Exactly.
Why do we have to be in the hammock?
But you know, he's Sam Adventure.
Listen, he's living up to his name.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it's the return again of McDonald's beloved McRib sandwich, the iconic fast food item which is filled with boneless pork, dipped in barbecue sauce and made with onions and pickles, is coming back for Halloween.
It'll be available until November 20th. The last time Ken the McRib returned to McDonald's menus last November, but it first debuted in 1981 and has had several limited time runs since then. But make sure you get it while it lasts. McDonald's says this really could be the very last time that it's available.
Fun fact.
Yeah.
I was working at McDonald's when the McRib debuted. I just started college.
Can you believe that? That's unbelievable. Crazy. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. All right, for those on diets, don't eat the McRib. Today is a good cheat day, though. It's National Greasy Foods Day.
Yeah, we're talking French fries, pizza, chicken wings, burgers, fried chicken. Take your pick. Just don't go overboard, though. Moderation is important. And remember to go back to your healthier choices tomorrow.
Okay.
You can post your cheat meals with the hashtag Greasy Foods Day.
What's your cheat meal today?
Oh, totally hot wings.
Hot wings. I know we were talking about that before. Donuts, hot wings, French fries, the waffle fries from Chick-fil-A.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We had some of those waffle fries last night. By the way. I'm going to have to go back. Hey, thanks for joining us today.
We'll see you back here tomorrow at 9. Eat all the food you want. It's cheat day. Take care.
Local news doesn't stop here. Keep listening on the radio in Raleigh at 99.3 and in Durham at 96.5.